Hello and welcome to the Goalzone, our very first programme here on YouTube. With me, as always, we've got the former Aston Villa midfielder, Holt End hero, Ian Taylor, and Darren Carter, former midfielder of West Brom and Blues, of course. You like that, don't you? Holt End hero. You're a bit of a hero at the Holt End.
It's got a nice ring to it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a lovely ring to it, actually.
Now you've mentioned it. So much to get through. Our very first programme.
Yeah.
With you
New set, Tom.
YouTubers.
New set.
YouTubers.
Like
I
it.
love that. Apparently it's the thing.
Gone global, Tom. Gone global.
Well, to be fair, already I know that we've got people from Jamaica, Canada.
That's just my family.
Canada, Spain, watching us, so, which is fantastic.
Brilliant.
That's the ones I know to. And, of course, Borsley Green. Borsley Green. So much to get through, as I said. The final day of the championship season. Let's start there, I suppose. But firstly, what about congratulations to Darren Moore, Premier League Manager of the Month for
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's done an absolutely amazing
job. I'm sure for West Brom fans it's a little bit frustrating as well.
Yeah,
but
100%.
But no, fair play to him. He's gone in and he's done the job.
We're going to talk about that in depth in a bit because, you know, I understand where he's coming from. And it might be nothing to do with how good a coach he is, but we'll talk about that shortly. Let's talk about the last day of the championship season. And let's start with the biggest the game of the day, and that was Birmingham fighting for their lives against a team who'd won 18, drawn 5, hadn't lost since December the 12th, and nobody gave Birmingham a chance.
No, they didn't. And like you say, Tom, was it 23 games unbeaten, beating the Man City record previous, and it was just geared up. Everyone, I think, looking at that fixture, thought Fulham are going to win the game. It was always, you know, the Cardiff Fulham who's going to go up, automatic. Never really give Blues a chance, but you know, credit to the team and to Gary Monk and to the supporters, because you know unfortunately I wasn't there to watch it, but everybody's inside the stadium. I was running the 10k, Tom. So got plenty of support, by the way, from some Blue Noses on the way to the game. So thank you for that.
10k you did. Was it 1 hour 44 you did?
Oh, come on, Tom. 44 minutes, just over 44.
That's good running, though, isn't it? 44 minutes.
Yeah.
It was hot. Yeah, it was a hot one. But
he's young though, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, to be fair.
Relatively now. But no, like I've seen a lot of Blues fans walking to the game. Obviously, it was in town, and everyone I've spoke to, my dad especially, said it was a real special afternoon at St Andrews. So all you could hope for.
Well, it was, but Gary Monk got it absolutely spot on. Mm-hmm. He weren't going to let them play. That's for certain. He wasn't going to let them play. Now, I don't know what they did to the pitch, but I didn't see a sprinkler on all day.
So you did know what they did to the pitch?
I don't know. That's me surmising.
Yep.
But nevertheless, I looked at the way he went about the job, and he got it spot on. Got amongst them. They weren't allowed to dictate the pace, the tempo, and possession of the ball. They were at them, every single player, and that was key, I suppose.
Yeah, I think 100%. And me and Tals just said it's probably laid the blueprint now for the playoffs, and probably Gary Rowett and Derby have watched that game, will analyse that game. First time that Fulham have lost in 23, so Blues have obviously done something right. But like you say, Gary Monk, since he's come in the building, we've been mightily impressed with him, and everything he said post-game as well about next season, the summer. He's determined to get it right and change the whole philosophy of the football club.
Some great goals. You know, all goals you scored are great, aren't they? I'm sure you'll tell me. But some fantastic goals. And Fulham looked shocked. It was almost like, a bit like Liverpool did at West Brom, like, sorry, let us play.
No. I think the biggest thing for me, from a Villa point of view, is that they've shown cracks in their armour.
Because you didn't fancy him in the playoffs, did you? You didn't
no,
want
nobody
them.
did.
Yeah.
Obviously, for obvious reasons.
They'd rather have had Cardiff, to be fair.
But it just shows that a game that if they'd have won, they'd have gone into the Premier League. If you can't get up for a game like that, you can't get up for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've gone out with a whimper. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's face it, that game was worth £100 million minimum to them. Mm-hmm. Overall, 160 if you count the parachute payments, minimum.
So you think when it comes to the crunch,
let's go for it.
Have they got it? Have they got it in?
You know what they couldn't do is respond to what was thrown at them.
Yeah.
I'm sure if Blues had just sat back and tried to play the passing game with them, that they got beat, but they didn't. They caught them brilliantly and played some decent football at times, Blues. But you know what it's like, the goal scorers will get all the credit. But for me, I was talking to Tales earlier about it. Young Wes Harding has come up against Ryan Sessegnon. The hottest thing around. Dortmund, I think Lazio, Bayern Munich were all at the game to watch him. And he saw him off. He's only played 9 games. Saw him off.
I thought it was fantastic that he put him in.
Well, that was
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've come through the academy at Blues, and ever since, you see your Nathan Redmonds, your Jack Butlins, and Damari Gray. Yeah, and now to see Wes, but for him to come in at the stage that he did, the trust that Gary Monk put in him.
Pressure times, by the
it's
way.
pressure, but then as a young player, he stepped up to the plate. And I mean, I watched him at Bolton a fair few games ago. It was the first time I could watch him properly for 90 minutes, and he looked like a seasoned professional, like he'd been playing hundreds of games. So credit to Wes, credit to the academy as well, and the staff obviously for bringing him through, and Richard Beale as well in the 23s. But ultimately Wes has gone out there and done it.
The one I'll never forget that moment when Sessegnon tried to run him and couldn't. He's rapid as well, Big Wes.
Yeah, 1v1 defending, he looks fantastic, and he'll go forward. He's the modern day fullback.
Great cross for the first goal for
exactly,
Jukovic.
Yeah, creating goals as well, and he's had a huge impact, and probably you could say he's been one of the catalysts for the run that Blues have been on, and obviously got them to safety.
On social media, lots of people were going, he should leave Wes out and play Maxim right back and Grounds left back. Gary Monk said no, kept faith with him, and he did. And in the end, Sessegnon had to go to left back.
Yeah.
So he saw it as a player. If you see somebody off, you feel chuffed, don't you?
Yeah, massively. Because the way we've been brought up, and I'm sure you as well, Tom, you play against your direct opponent, and you have to be better.
That's
than
the
them.
job. Your
And you
personal
have to be better
battle.
than them. Yeah.
And
I don't think that happens enough these days.
Yeah, they don't win enough personal battles, or don't even see it as a personal battle.
No.
And I think that for me though, and I've got to admit it, I was chuffed to stop Fulham getting promoted. Because in 1975, I cried at Main Road in the second replay of the FA Cup semi-final when we outplayed them and lost in the last second of extra time with a horrible goal.
You're going to cry again.
It hit Mitchell's chest. Joe Gallagher tripped over the goalie and he trickled in.
All right. Are you okay?
So I was glad. And then when they got relegated under Alex McLeish, the last game of the season was home to Fulham. And that was the game to win to stay up. We lost it. So, hard luck, lads. All the best in the playoffs. I'm sorry. To be fair, I am over it. Not. But that's how football gets you. But the fans responded. And this is what I was going to ask you. The Sheffield United game and this one. In Sheffield United, they went behind by a goal. Now, Blues fans in the past might have just turned then. They got behind the team. They bought into what Gary Monk's offering. Yeah. They bought into it.
It's a belief, Tom, that he's bought into the football club. And I said it from day one, the way he comes across, the way he delivers his message. There's so much talk now, within football, with coaches and managers. And we'll go on to, obviously, Darren Moore later. And he's exactly the same. The way, you get your message across to your players, one, they'll buy into it, and two, they'll play their socks off and they'll play their hearts out for you. So, in both instances, and Gary Monk, like you say, they've been responded unbelievably well.
We will talk about, because you two played at the highest level, the importance of who you're playing for. Because I've got my own views, but you've done it. As a manager, you might want to run through a wall for. Now, he might not be a great coach, but he could be a leader. I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson was a great coach, but what he did was, he led people. Brian Clough never did any coaching, but he was a leader of men. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But a fantastic result. And then to hear him afterwards say, anybody that doesn't buy into it, anybody that doesn't want to be here will be gone. Because this culture has to change from hanging on by your fingertips to winning. I mean, would you buy as a player? Would that impress you?
Well, yeah. I think if your manager is making a statement like that straight after a big game where he could just be taking the accolades and praising the team, instead Gary Monk was like, right, this isn't good enough ultimately. Yes, we've stayed up and it's great the run we've been on, but we don't want to celebrate finishing 4th, 5th from bottom. We want to be up there pushing back for the Premier League. So he recognises it, and he's obviously seen it from day one. Coming into the football club, there's a lot that needs to change. And like I say, if he's getting the fans and the players to buy into it, then hopefully the higher ups will buy into it too.
I think he's got it as well. Does that make sense? He's because Birmingham City are unique. They get under your skin a little bit, and I think he's felt that. I think it surprised him how much he really enjoys being there.
Yeah, and I think his staff are the same. You know, James Beattie and Pep.
Yeah,
he's been out on Twitter. They've both been very vocal on Twitter and on social media, especially the way the fans have responded. I think that's probably one of the areas they've looked at and really thought, wow, these fans have responded and love the football club and get behind the team. So, I think as a package, they couldn't have expected ended very much more.
I think it's a great coup for Birmingham. I think I think he's a really good manager, and I'm not sure what happened at the clubs he's been at before. I don't know whether they were
because he'd had a lot of clubs in a short space of time.
I don't know whether the politics at the clubs.
Well, maybe he's a man of principle and says,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think he's a really good manager.
Well, he's got the summer now to sort it all out, which will be quite interesting as well. One of the fans said when he was appointed, I don't think he was that impressed, but he said, if Gary Monk saves Blues from relegation, I'll have his face tattooed on my backside. Well, of course, Gary Monk's on Twitter, so he got straight in touch with him saying, you'll have to do it then. And all the other Blues fans were getting...
Okay.
So he said, well, I don't think he could afford it. So Gary said, well, I'll pay. Gary Monk said, didn't pay, but we want proof on Twitter.
Yes.
So
I'm not sure whether I want to see that, Tom.
There'll be a bearing of backsides on Twitter. But that shows him integrating and interacting with the fans, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Great.
I think he understands it's a big part of...
You need the fans on your side wherever you are.
And social media as well now, that's another way to connect and, open up to fans. So there's a fair few managers and coaches doing it now.
From Birmingham City, and by the way, from all the nerve-wracking worrying about going down, they ended up 5 points clear of the drop zone.
It always happens, doesn't it?
Never in doubt.
I know. Yeah.
But while we were enjoying that day out, you were down the...
I'd put my tin hat on.
You were down the East End, weren't you? You were down the East End. You were down the East End.
Yeah, it was a typical end of nothing on the game, Tom. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
and you made a lot of changes.
Made changes looking at next week, and it would have been nice to win, but no one was too disappointed that we lost, because it's all about next week.
The players he left out were key as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Jack Grealish, Snodgrass,
Terry.
Yeah, these are important players for the big occasion, and probably needed a rest, I would think.
I don't know whether they needed a rest. It's just the risk of getting them injured, I suppose.
Injuries, suspensions.
And so that was the biggest thing, really. But I think we've got a clean bill of health, apart from Taylor, I think. But probably not a loss at the minute. But no,
I felt for the kid, to be fair, in the last game when he got absolutely murdered. And then suddenly he's sitting on the floor holding his hamstring, and I thought, been there.
Can't say I have, Tom.
and he came off, and then the gaffer's gone. He's just about to come back, and the gaffer said, "No, don't bother."
Well, I didn't see that, but
he's gone, pulled him back. He's sent on Hutton. That must have been.
And to be
that
fair,
must be tough for a kid though to take a young kid.
Well, it is, and to be fair, the fans love Alan Hutton as well.
What's a long time since he was cheered on the pitch?
Yeah, and he did well on Saturday. He played well.
Do you not think he's played ever so well at left back?
Yeah, he has. Because I think you have to concentrate more.
Well, because it's not natural. He's not gung ho. He has to focus on it, and I think that's made him a better defender.
Yeah, I think so. Going forward, he's been better than Taylor in recent times, and like I said, the fans are fully behind Alan Hutton. They love him. So I think he'll probably be taking up that left back.
You've played in some good Villa teams. For me, a massive thing has been the emergence of James Chester. Yeah. How important has John Terry been for him?
He's played every minute of every league game this season.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But he's not the tallest, is he?
No.
But he gets his head on things, heads it and kicks it, he don't mess around.
And I think, like you said, John Terry's been a massive help to him. Those two have been fantastic for us this season.
It's all, people will be saying dinosaurs, but what's wrong with heading and kicking it as a centre-half?
It's what you're supposed to do, isn't
it? Bread and butter.
Well, we were talking about Fulham. I showed you on the... If anybody's at home, have a look at the goals. The third goal, Che Adams. He skips past Odin, the defender, Odoi rather, the defender for Fulham, who just suddenly stops and goes, "Oh, please yourself." And stops still, doesn't chase, track. Yeah. You wouldn't have thought it mattered.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that was a cup final, so that just told me something about Fulham. Really
So all of a
did.
sudden, you're not bothered
Really
whether
did. And to be honest, Tom, we were in danger of thinking about Fulham before Middlesbrough.
and that's a
Do you know
problem.
what I mean? So I'm just hoping that everybody focuses on Middlesbrough now instead of thinking we don't want to play Fulham because they're that great. Just focus on Middlesbrough.
I'm looking at games at home, Queen's Park Rangers. Are you disappointed that actually you might have made more of an effort for second place?
Yeah. We're very disappointed.
Because you haven't lost to like big games. You've lost.
Yeah, we've lost games at home to
Yeah.
teams like QPR, lost away to Norwich, teams like that. When you know a couple of draws or three,
two
three
wins, you'd have been there.
Do you know what I mean? So that is frustrating, but I'm sure most teams in the league can say that there were certain games in the year where they should have done better, but we are where we are.
I mean, it's not over yet for Villa, but a good season, would you say? Or decent?
It's not finished yet.
No, I said it's not over, but
It will if the main aim is to go up, and if we fail to do that, then I don't
It's
think
not been
it's
a good season.
season.
I think as well, for a number of reasons. Obviously, you want to be in the Premier League, but the financial side of the business,
Yeah.
Villa are in trouble.
It's our
Not
second
in
year.
trouble, but that's the wrong word, but I can't think of anything
They'll
else
have
to
to
say.
think about
In
things.
trouble. They're going to have to examine everything
Yeah.
if they don't go up because of financial fair play.
Yeah.
And your 1 year of high losses allowed goes because it's your last year of the Premier League parachute payments.
Exactly.
So it becomes a problem. So getting up is for a number of reasons.
We have to start thinking about wage bills and all that kind of stuff.
Getting rid of players, getting rid of people, which is the sad part of... And sometimes I don't think anybody thinks hard enough. Your players are always ring-fenced, aren't they? Contracts.
Yeah.
But, you know, people in departments will lose their jobs if you don't go
We've
up.
had to do it once, Tom, when we came down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when the club was sold. So, we've had to cut our cloth before, and we'll have to do it again if we don't.
So it's always worth spending a minute thinking about people who lose their jobs, and it's nothing to do with them. They've not lost a game, not missed a chance, not conceded a goal, not gave away a penalty, but they're going to lose their jobs because you and your mates couldn't do it.
You and your mates.
Turning on me again, cards.
So, but all in all, then, I mean, you as you've rightly said, season ain't over.
No.
Well, let's talk about the playoffs then now, because you're talking about knowing Steve Bruce as I do, his mentality will be similar to Sir Alex, and that will be, let's turn this into a one-legged tie. Do you think that's the way to approach this? Go up there, come back with a 0-0, turn it into a one-legged
Or even
game.
nick a
1-0 win.
We nicked a 1-0 there
Amazing.
previously. So, and we know that Middlesbrough won't have wanted to play us at all.
No.
So, we've got to go up there, stick
Confident?
our chests out, confident, yeah, because we've beaten them. So, no reason why we shouldn't be confident.
I'm just, probably sounds a bit negative, but I'm thinking knowing Tony Pulis, if he ever got a 2-0, the one man you would bet on to protect a 2-0 is him.
Yeah.
So for me, you have to try and make the game as open as you can. And the only way to do that is to come back leading or at least 0-0. Because if you're leading, he's got to come out and attack you, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think an early goal in that first leg for Villa will shape the tie then, because obviously Middlesbrough then have got to come out a little bit. That's not what Pulis will want to do. So it'd be interesting to see how Villa start that game. If they come out all guns blazing, like you say, Tom, and go for that early
Interesting
goal.
to see how they started. Been at home first.
At home. Well, the pressure's on them at home.
Of course it is. So, we don't have to go gung-ho in the first game. So, we've been good on the break this season.
You've been good on the counter, haven't you?
Yeah.
A lot of goals. I was looking at goal scorers. Grabban, he's been getting
We
the goals.
spread it around.
Adoma, Urahan, and now Codger's on his way back for you. So all of a sudden, I think you're more of a goal threat than them.
We've got more people that can score goals, I think. I think this season, we've had no
Sombalonga they've had, and Bamford, haven't they? There's nobody else really getting.
We've had a lot of people play. People come in when other people have gone out, and they've done the job for us. So it's been a real squad effort for us, I think. There's nobody who's really stood out goal scoring. Well, apart from Albert, he's got a lot of goals this season, but he sort of tapered off second half of the season. And other people have stepped up. Grabban's come in and scored straight away. So everybody's played the part, really.
You're sticking your neck out. Is it Wembley for you?
Have I got to stick my neck out?
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
No, I just think we've got too many players that have
Been there.
and done it and played in big games.
And a manager has been there and done it.
Yeah, and it won't faze them. It won't faze them.
And that could be crucial, couldn't it?
Yeah. Because like I said, I looked at Fulham, big game against Birmingham. Couldn't handle it.
Interesting.
When you've got 90 minutes to get into the Premier League.
You've got players in that squad who have recently done it as well. The whole connection with Chester and Al Mohammadi, obviously Brucey. Terry speaks for himself. He's Champions League final, so experience galore in that Villa squad.
Moving on to the champions, Wolves. I think there's still some old gold and black deck chairs in the penalty area on flip-flops, because I think the flip-flops were definitely on.
I think 99% of the country called that result.
Yeah.
If I was
probably still
a
steaming,
Sunderland
Tom.
fan, I wouldn't take anything from it.
I know,
Because I think there might have been a little bit of alcohol consumed this last week as well.
Because you can guarantee that most Sunderland fans were thinking, "Oh my gosh, we're going to get tanked in our last home game of the season." But to be fair to them, at least they've gone and seen the team win.
Got a result, yeah.
Wolves, yesterday I watched these celebrations. It was amazing. I mean, there really is a buzz around Wolverhampton created by the owners, Fosun, and the money they've invested in good quality players.
Yeah, I know everybody's kind of moaned about the money that they've spent and whatnot, but you've still got to go out and get the
proper
right
right.
players.
You can waste money.
Of course you can. People have done it so many
Well,
times.
you're an agent, you know.
I was, Tom. I got out.
Sorry, you were an agent.
I got out.
The thing with Wolves is, though, we sat here in October, didn't we, and talking about will they be able to sustain it. They've got the players, we said that, they've got the quality, and they've gone the whole season and no one's been able to touch them. And even when they did have their little
turns, will they be able to do it? We had all that.
But when they had a little wobble, when it was only a mini wobble, there was probably a few Wolves fans who thought, oh, here we go, is it gonna, the bottom gonna fall out? But they've been absolutely miles ahead of everyone, haven't they?
They're the best team in the division by country.
And by the way, they'll go in the Premier League, I think, even with this squad. And I don't see any problem for them. They're going to add, obviously, they're going to add additions. But
I think they'll spend as well.
Some of their players, Neves and Jotas,
Champions League players,
they'll be fine in the Premier League, and they'll be chomping at the bit as well to be in the Premier League.
But Tom, going back to being an agent, Connor Cody was one of my players.
I'm just about to talk about him, but I'm glad you brought him up, because while all the plaudits are with Neves and Caballero, for me, two players have stood out: Matt Doherty and Connor Cody. I think Connor Cody's been absolutely
He's a
brilliant.
proper leader, Tom. When I had him as a player, he was 16, 17. He was captain of the young England under 17s or 16s. I can't remember which one it was, and lifted the trophy, European trophy. And I was so chuffed for him, because he works hard. He listens.
So you're not surprised though, are you?
No, not at all.
Everyone says the same as well. Players that have played with him that I know just say he's so passionate, not about just the game, but his own game as well. He's forever talking football.
But that's the thing, and it's not just his own game. He gets everybody else's games
exactly.
right.
He leads by example.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, he can play right back, midfield, centre half, 1 of 3, in the centre of 3.
I think, to be fair to the manager, that's the perfect position for him.
But the thing is as well, he probably at first he was a sacrifice for him. He's obviously always played in the centre and in midfield, but to go back there, he probably maybe thought to himself, what's going on here? What am I doing? But obviously trusted Nuno, and it's come to fruition. And now, like you say, he's probably, I don't know if he's surprised himself a little bit with how well he's fitted in there. But
it does help
he's been amazing
playing
this
alongside
season.
good players.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because as a centre half, especially of a 3, and you're the centre, you really are ahead in kicking and give it to the ones who can play.
But in that position though, and Tals, you'll know that having someone at the back who's good on the ball but can distribute it the way he does
as well,
you've got to get it to these players, and he's been fantastic all
and
season.
it tells you something that a new manager comes in and makes him captain.
And he keeps out a kid who was decent as well, Danny Bard, keeps him out the team. Matt Doherty as well, he's seen a few managers there, and now his international recognition, he's come on a bundle as well for me.
Yeah,
great season.
And finding Douglas, of course.
Yeah, well, the two of them, I think, you talk about the system they play, them two are key. You've got great players in Neves and Jotas and all them, but them two, the energy and the way they play as well, them two have been key. And all season, like you say, they've...
Helder Costa's grown of age as well, hasn't he, after having last season. I mean, he looks a proper player now.
Yeah. I mean, he must have been chomping when he was injured. He must have been chomping at the bit to get back and play. Because if you're playing in that team, you can't not enjoy it, can you? Playing in, with them players, the quality and how dominant they've been this season. I think any player who's sort of been on the fringes or injured has been, well, I can't wait to get back involved.
I mean, you said they're the best team in the division, and I agree entirely. I think Neves is the best player in the division as well.
Yeah, he's shown that. He definitely has shown that.
He can pass it.
The question for me is, will anybody come and take any of the players?
Well, he said he's staying.
I mean?
He's already said he's staying. Neves has said he wants to be there in the Premier.
Had
Had they not gone up, different. But I think
they all seem to have really, really enjoyed it this season, and there seems to be a real chemistry there between them all. So,
and that's the manager. A lot of that stands to the manager.
Yeah. And again, we
that
talk about playing for a manager, and they're definitely playing for Nuno and buying into him. So why go and change that now? You've got to the Premier League. Give it a go with Wolves.
Yeah. They've won it in style. They have won it in style.
Absolute in style, without a shadow of a doubt. Won it in style. And I think also looking at the way the club is set up with you've heard all the rumours about financial fair play, but also about how the money's... The EFL have looked at it and said, we're fine, we're happy. Yeah. So, credit to Wolves and to Mendes, who's, the EFL have been told, and they agree he's nothing more than a consultant. But he's brought the right players in, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, all he can
he's
do,
got everybody.
All he's done is
got some big names, hasn't he?
All he's done is put the players in front of the manager, and the manager chooses the players. So,
well, good luck to them.
Yeah.
Now, what we need is another team up with them. So, over to you, Tales.
No
please.
Before we get on to West Brom, in the League One, only 2 weeks ago. I thought Walsall are in danger here of going down, and I think they're 2 points. They've saved themselves by 2 points. So he's got a big job on his hands, Dean Keats, at a club who probably... I mean, to say they're a selling club that's what they are, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they didn't look too bad earlier on in the season, did they? I mean, we were talking about them getting into the playoffs, weren't we? And, and there's been a real slide, and the manager went, and Keats came in, and now, like you say, he's got a job on his hands next season. It just depends what the club's goals are, really.
But I was going to ask you that. What are the ambitions for Walsall? Because, for example, Burton have gone down, but when you look at their history, for them to go up and down with the Championship League, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah. They've done remarkable to have the seasons they have in the Championship.
But what about Walsall's? I know Jeff Bonser well, and he did threaten to buy me a drink once. He holds on to that purse and that wallet, trust me.
But maybe a Burton is the sort of thing they should be looking at and saying, well, we want to ultimately get into the Championship, and their budget isn't fantastic. We always say the same, don't we, about Walsall? In the summer.
Well, Walsall are a bigger club than Burton in reality.
But that's what I'm saying. So why not say, well, okay, Burton can survive a few seasons in the Championship and be unlucky in the end. I know they give it a right go towards the last few games. Why can't Walsall say, well, let's have a right go at getting up there and give our fans Championship football for a season?
But that has to be your ambition.
Yeah.
And you have to match that ambition with the wherewithal. Because you can't do it with no players. You have to have decent players.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And finally, I mean, for this neck of the woods, Coventry, he's got them into the playoffs, albeit the last game was a testimonial, I'm told. One team needed a point to stay in the playoffs, and one team needed a point to get safety.
It's interesting to see how, if the crowds come back, if they went up, and how the club would be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's been at the top level, isn't it, Tom?
Massively.
So
it
you
needs
want to
it.
see those fans come back.
Well, you seen the cup final, didn't you, at Wembley? How many Coventry fans made the trip down, and so they're there.
Oh, they're there. They're there waiting.
We always say they're just waiting for that bit of success and that feel-good factor at the football club to come back.
And he's decent, Mark Robbins, as well. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But again, these are coaches and managers. They're not magicians. They need help. And I'm not so sure how much help Sisu are prepared to give them, if I'm totally honest.
That needs to be sorted out, Tom.
We've been saying that for 2 years, 3 years.
Sorted out.
Sisu sorted out 4 years.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been sorted. And you feel for anybody who's charged with getting a team out, because very similar, I was looking at some of we'll talk about the National League in a minute, but some of the teams in the National League are big teams from the Championship days.
Yep.
So if you want to get out, you've got to invest now in any division, because if not, you'll slide. Look, who's dropped out now? There's 3 teams. Who's dropped out?
Of the National League, so Guiseley have gone, and Chester, Torquay.
There's another Torquay, another league team.
Yeah. So
all gone. So good luck to Mark Robbins in the playoffs. In the Premier League, still a game to go, but tonight, of course, as we sit here recording and talking, Swansea play Southampton. If that's a draw, it goes to the last day of the season.
It's incredible, Tom. I was there Saturday at the Hawthorns, and I was sat sort of in the press area in the corner, and we all, a few of us said it after an hour. He was like, West Brom are going to win this. There was just a vibe around, and I mean, Spurs weren't at their best, but credit to the way West Brom worked. Last 20 minutes, they looked the more dangerous team with the set pieces, and when it dropped to Jack, it took me 5 minutes to realise who scored it. I don't think anyone in the ground knew who put it in. But
I think it was one of them. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? But the scenes around, the Hawthorns, and then obviously the players coming back out, Moro addressing the crowd, and it was just, you just felt like all of a sudden this football club is, he's the feel-good factor, and all of a sudden there's energy there that hasn't been there.
Well, I was talking to him the week before at Richard Eads' game at Halso in Town, which was amazing, by the way. Absolutely rammed. Him and James Morrison and Chris Brunt turned up. That says a lot about them as well.
Yeah.
The manager of West Brom, he could have said, I've got a lot of things on my mind. He turned up.
But it don't surprise us, does it? That's Moro. That's what that's the guy.
But he's a proper bloke, isn't he? Now, this is what I mean. He's come in and turned it around with the same players. Now, is that credit to him, or should we be saying that players are a disgrace? Where have you been?
I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. I think it's a bit of both. I don't know.
We can't lay 100% of the blame at Alan Pardew.
Of course not. Of course not.
Shoulders.
I just wonder what Moro's done differently.
Well, I think the one thing I look at that squad and look at them players, and I've said all season, the squad they've got and the quality and experience, but there just seem to be no energy or enjoyment at all. And if tells us that if you're not enjoying it, well, it's like anything. If you're not enjoying it, you're not going to perform to your best.
Football.
I know, but at the end
you're
of the day,
getting paid.
But I know, but day in, day out.
You mentioned enjoying.
Yeah, but if you want to enjoy what you're doing, don't you? And if it's
you mean the environment you work in?
Exactly. So if you're going in and all, it's becoming a bit of a grind, which it looked to be at West Brom. And the one thing, you've got Darren Moore coming into the football club. Well, he's been there, obviously. They all know him. They all love him. And all of a sudden, all he's done, he said, right, we're going to have a good go at this. Go and enjoy yourself. Go out there, give me everything. And again, I think it's just a change.
Can I
of
say
voice
it's
as well.
nothing to do with coaching for me?
Oh no, Moore said that.
This is to do with him, and I've used it before. I think earlier, a leader of men, and I think they respect him.
Yep.
They want to play for him. They want to run through a wall for him. A hell of a start for a manager, isn't it? If you've got players like that. And if you've got some that want to do that and are decent players.
But also, as well, the one thing, his press conference after, he said, it's not me, it's we. And I actually said to him after, I got to chat to him for a couple of minutes, I says, Maura, you've got to stop being so humble. You've got to take some of the credit, because he literally takes none of the credit. He said it's everybody.
The team,
and I'm like, well, you're in charge of everything that's gone on.
Because I tell you, when it goes wrong,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So even then, as a player, if you're looking at that and thinking, well, he's had a massive effect, but it's he's saying it's all of us in it
I've
together.
heard a lot of stuff though, loads of stuff from fans saying, we shouldn't get the job. Lots of them think he should, and I do. I think he should be handed it now. He's done enough. He's winning games. He's united the team. He's a leader of men. What else is it? What more do you want?
Yeah.
But they're saying, but if it didn't work out, he was a legend, he wouldn't be a legend. No, he can't put his career on hold because of that. He's earned the right to have a go. Yeah. And when it comes to motivation, so much rubbish talked about motivation. It's impossible for one man to motivate another. It's impossible. But what you do is you create the environment within which the people are motivated. So he's created an environment by being a decent bloke. You respect me, now go and do it for me. So they're motivated into doing it for him. He hasn't actually said go and do it, but he's created the environment where they want to do it for him. And I think that is great motivation. That is motivation in its purest form.
To be fair, Tom, there is that, and have you seen the size of him?
That's a great point. but he doesn't need that.
No.
And he is one of the game's nicest guys, without a shadow of a doubt. You played with him, didn't you, Daz?
Yeah, again, and he's tell you, Tom, every time you see him, he can't make enough time for you. After the game, Saturday, the press conference, he's got media all around him. He's seen me. He's coming. He's made an effort to come over. Yeah, he's come over
at the press conference.
So he had 5 minutes with me when you could see he was drinking water. He was drained. He's got loads of people waiting for him. He makes time for people all the time.
Yeah. And I spoke to him, and he said, "Tom, I'm telling you now, promise you, nobody has spoken to me about the job. Nobody. They told me take it on for 6 games. Now." He said there's 1 game to go. And that's the 6th. However, I think maybe his success has absolutely floored the board and they don't know what to do now. Because nobody expected it.
No. I agree, Tom.
Yeah, 100%.
I totally agree.
So all of a sudden they've gone, what's he doing?
What are we going to do now?
What are we doing now? So all of a sudden, it's like, let's interview him, and him, we'll go and get some geezer from somewhere abroad, we'll get him, we'll talk to them. What's he doing? Winning all these games, and all the fans are clamouring. You know what I mean? He's actually... But they've got to just brush it aside, give him the job. He's absolutely earned the right.
I was just going to say, like you said, Tom, he's earned the right. There's nothing more he can do apart from win those games, is it?
No, but also on the flip side, Tom, is obviously if Mauro does step back down to his original role and they bring someone else in, the trouble you've got then is
that can't work.
But you're not going to get rid of Mauro, are you?
Well,
completely?
no. Exactly. But if I'm the manager coming in, I'm thinking,
there's someone there who wants your job.
There's a guy there who won all them games, and the first time I lose, the fans are going to be chanting, Darren Moore's only won Darren Moore.
Why wasn't he?
So the board are in a terrible position for me. Give him the blooming job. Don't dilly-dally. Give him the job. I think he's earned it. He's earned the right to. If they'd have given him 5 games earlier, perhaps after Barcelona Taxigate, they might have stayed up.
Yeah.
Every chance.
But they dillied and dallied then.
Yeah.
And that's cost them. Should have done the
I
change.
I think it's an even better decision if they're in the Championship.
Yeah.
I think give them a go.
That's the best place for him to start.
Definitely.
Without a doubt. So we're all agreed, give him the job. Let's just talk about, firstly, your team. What a job. We all agreed they were dead and buried. I mean, Charles wouldn't tell you to his face, but he was telling me he thought
he's telling you,
he's telling you thought you'd gone. And
it got to the stage where I could actually hear him telling you.
But Mark Yates has come in with Tim Flowers. Wow, what a turnaround.
Yeah, I say, the gaffer came in, didn't he, Tom, and done a show when he first came to the club. And we both sat there and, we were both determined, that's for sure, and obviously Tim as well. But the one thing that, for me, especially when we had that game just after Boxing Day at Barrow that we come from behind and won, that would have put us, if we'd lost that, we'd have gone 15 points adrift. So then all of a sudden we went from 12 to 9, and we would then back that up with a win on New Year's Day at home to Maidenhead, and all of a sudden there was an injection of belief and confidence, and first time all season. The only sort of fear I had was that we had no room for error. We'd not allowed ourselves even to take any game off.
You had to do what you had to do.
Had to go on that run that we did, and Tim Flowers summed it up perfectly to me at Tranmere the night we done it. We actually stayed up, and he said, don't underestimate, going the amount of games playing under that pressure of having to go and win,
for sure,
or having to go and get points. It can take his toll. And
you see, I sat with Tim, as you know, for a number of Solihull games. Yeah. He was doing a bit of scouting then, so I sat with him and we had lots of chats about it. And to be fair, we were appalled at some of the stuff we were watching. You and I talked about it, Daz.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they were bad players; it was that they weren't good enough for that level. Some of them, because the previous manager brought in players from a lower level, thought they could step up, and they couldn't.
Unproven, and like you say, and that is a risk in itself, obviously. And when we lost a few games to start the season, you could see a lot of them weren't used to that, and they're used to the level. And like you mentioned, Tom, there's some big clubs in that league, and a lot of players now are dropping down into it, with a lot of league experience under their belt. And
Tranmere,
some of our
Chester.
lads,
I mean, on the bench for Chester, John McCarthy and Chris Iwulumo.
Yeah.
that's the sort of level of coaches they had. So,
exactly, yeah.
you know, it was always tough for Solihull Moors because you are the smallest club there, probably, in that league, I would think, or one of them.
We're punching well above our weight, and we knew that. And, you know, I think as soon as we got into that hole that we, you know, dug ourselves first half of the season, that's why a lot of people are like, well, we thought they'd go down anyway. So to come back and to prove everyone wrong is, you know, it's a great feeling.
But now there's a step, there's a step they've got to take. Like Gary Monk was saying about Birmingham, you've got to change that culture of, well, we're punching above our weight. You're not visiting the National League now. You've got to establish yourself as a National League club.
Next step, you know, Tales obviously knows the club, and to get to this level has obviously took a huge amount of work and, you know, many years. And all of a sudden it's right, well, we just don't want to be happy with this. It's like I said after the last day of the season, I don't want to celebrate finishing 18th.
No.
You know, that's not what I'm about. I want to be pushing on. And I think there's been a real realisation at the club now to say, right, we want to be... Look at Macclesfield. I mean, their budget is one of the lowest in the league. They're in the Football League.
They've gone up, yeah.
Yeah, they've gone up. So, again...
I remember going there commentating on Birmingham games.
Boreham Wood are in the playoff final against Tranmere. So clubs in that league, or who haven't got the biggest budgets or whatever, are really having a go. So why can't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well done to Solihull and well done to Mark Yates, because he's been a league manager, and probably it's been unfair that he hasn't got an opportunity for now. He's been out of work a bit, and he should have got an opportunity. And now he's grabbed this one with both hands. Good luck to him and Tim Flowers and yourself. How many league games did you play before you went to Solihull?
I think it's about 350, 400.
Tails, how many did you play?
Around the same. No, actually, in all the leagues, 500 odd.
500 odd. So you understand then when I talk about a player who's played 765 league games, Paul Robinson.
Yeah, incredible.
At the top level, it's good, isn't it? I mean, that takes some doing, to be fair. And to be miserable and angry, kicking everybody in every one of them.
Yeah, but look who he's played for, Tom. I'm joking.
I noticed a little montage that Blue's done, and there was a few goals against Villa in there.
I'm joking.
For the Albion.
For the Albion. Yeah.
No, fair play to him because he's a great lad.
He's a great bloke as well.
He's a great lad as well.
But I interviewed him on stage at the awards do last night, and I said to him, I get on great with him. He's such a lovely man. If they've lost and I catch him in the tunnel, he is a miserable so-and-so. I think they're not always like that, mate. No. Some of them are smiling and laughing. He's angry about it. I think that makes him the player he is.
Oh,
yeah, for sure. You've got to feel it.
Yeah, he's from the old school. Like, literally, Robbo is from the old school. You know, he lives and breathes it. If he loses a game, then, you know, you can't talk to him.
Oh, no, he is. He's old school.
It's always one of those when it cuts. If you'd planned to go out with the missus the night on a Saturday night and you'd lost, you weren't going out.
That's it. Not a chance.
You weren't going out.
That's why I always took her. But seriously, he is old school. You know, if you know, go for the man. If you can't get the man, get the ball.
But right, to be fair to Robbo, he's the exact character you'd want in the changing room. He's exactly what you'd want to be alongside you on the pitch.
That's why Gary Monk said he talks with him about staying. I can't believe there's ever a doubt, because if ever there's a role model for youngsters about teaching them the other side of the game, he's the man.
Yeah.
He's the man for me. Yeah. So I think, he came for a month on loan, stayed 7 years, like a squatter. He was. We couldn't get rid of him. He's a squatter. But he's been brilliant.
And that probably sums him up, Tom. That right there sums him up. You know, you get that little snippet of him, and you're like, well, this is the type of guy we want at this football
club
for the longevity. Yeah. So that's credit to him.
And credit to Gary Monk, because he put him on the bench and he gave him a few minutes. I thought that was
when I seen that brought a big smile to my face, because I thought it's a great gesture. Obviously, 3-1 up, the game's won, we're staying up, and then what a way to then celebrate what was an unbelievable career for Robbo.
Having said that, I did think that maybe if it had been 0-0, he might have threw him on. Threw him on, say, play in front of that back four, make sure, you know what I mean, if you're one. Maybe we're doing him an injustice to think it was all emotional. I'm sure a part of it was. But it was great for him to say cheerio to the fans. Yeah. And the way he did it.
He deserved it, yeah.
And they showed a montage at the awards of his tackles.
Still going, isn't it?
Couldn't get more on there.
Oh, dear. Hey. He did sort some people out. Brilliant. So good luck to him, and hopefully they'll sort this out. They're in advanced talks to give him some role at Birmingham City, and I think that's justified and earned. But the goal they showed, of course, against Villa was Villa were winning 2-1, and he scored that flying header in the last seconds.
Still
I
has
can't
that.
remember. I can't remember.
Which happened to be, I think, only
What
a
year
week.
was that?
It was only a week after you were beating Birmingham, and Stern John popped up with an equaliser in stoppage time.
That's erased from Tales' memory.
Is it? Are you having a bit of a moment,
I
Tails?
can't remember.
You can't. I'll send you the video link.
Okay. I won't sign for it.
Listen, before you start having a pop at me saying, look at it, he don't stop talking, and you lot don't stop on Villa fans about Gabby scoring every game against Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. I don't say anything.
You'll miss that, won't you?
don't
With
say a
Gabby
word.
gone, you'll miss that, won't you?
Well, yeah, I'd just like to mention Gabby and as well.
I was going to bring. That's the next thing to bring up is Gabby.
You know, he's had a great stint at that club. He's had some great moments. You know,
It lost his way the last
Yeah, I was
year,
going to say it's tapered off
year or so.
towards the end.
But let's
you know,
remember what he
he's
was
done a
like.
lot for the football club.
I mean, he got in the England team. I mean, he was double rapid, wasn't he?
Yeah. I was, you know, he was,
What went wrong then, Charles? You've been in. You know him. What?
I don't know him that well though, Tom. Really, you know, he was a young player when I was there, just coming through, who had a lot of potential. Reached the heights in the Premier League. Did some, like I said, he's had some great moments in his Villa career, and it's just the last 3-4 years. He's just injuries caught up with him, and you know he's had his problems.
And
off
never
the
looked
pitch.
fitness.
No,
Never looked
fitness
fit
was
enough.
always a problem. He's had his off the pitch moments as well, which didn't help. So
It's the right time, isn't it? But I wonder
Yeah,
whether he'd
yeah.
go to another club.
I wouldn't know what's in Gabby's mind at all with regards to where he's going to go, where he's going to play. I know he's had offers,
Well, he would do.
but you know he's not taken them up. So I'm not sure what he's going to do.
Maybe he's going to retire. A bit like yourself.
I played till I was 37, Tom.
Oh, it's impressive.
I know you did. It looked like it.
And to be fair, I wanted to mention Northampton as well. Getting relegated as well.
know.
Do you know what I mean? I
Your old club.
Spent my last 2 years there when we got
Good
promotion.
club, you were telling me, Tom.
Yeah. You know, it's a small club, but it was a good club, good family club. And you know, to see them relegated was, you know, was horrible really, because I had some good times there.
Port Vale have been struggling. You've left some
Yeah,
clubs in the
Port
right
Vale
state, haven't you, really? to
Hey,
be
they
fair?
stayed up. Port Vale stayed up. I actually managed to go back and
you went back recently,
a
didn't
few
you?
weeks ago. And Neil Aspin was his manager now, and I saw Rudgie, and yeah, it was good to be back.
What a legend in the game, John Rudge.
Yeah, it was really, really good to me, and really good
Was
for
he?
my career. Because
He found some players, he did, you know.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Excellent stuff. You may or may not have heard the news today about the fixture fixing in the Premier League. It's been revealed today.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's been revealed today that the top 6 clubs are kept away from each other in the opening week and the final week of the season.
Well,
And that's a fact.
Yeah, that's come out today. Or it's everywhere today.
It doesn't
The FA haven't spoke about it. The FA Premier League haven't spoke about it. But, you know, it looks as if that's the case. I mean, we would have to say that the FA Premier League haven't spoke about it and haven't confirmed it. But nevertheless, it's out there and people are talking about it. What? I mean,
Scandalous.
yeah.
Scandalous.
shouldn't be, should it?
No.
This has got to be fair for all.
Level playing
Doesn't
field.
surprise me.
No.
Doesn't surprise me when I hear that one of my favourite managers is Jurgen Klopp. He lost me when he started to blame the groundsman at West Brom for not watering the pitch. He blamed West Brom. You don't need the points. What are you playing for? All them sort of things. He lost me. No class. But it's that Big Six mentality. Well, you lot do what?
Yeah.
We've got to
It's
play.
unfortunate, Tom. It's, you know,
No, it's not unfortunate. It's wrong.
Well, yeah, it's wrong. And it is wrong. We all know it's wrong. We all know about the Premier League and how it's set up and how the big teams are the big teams and the rest are the rest.
Yeah.
And I think
It's a good point, though, that when you do get promoted, say Villa got up this year and Wolves, let's be honest, you're bit part players.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all you
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
You're extras for the top 6 because they need people to play against. That's the reality of it. Leicester broke the mould, didn't they?
Yeah, took
Leicester
advantage
broke the
of
mould.
everybody else being rubbish. Didn't
Yeah,
they?
for one season.
Yeah.
But by and large, Man City, Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, they're going to be, aren't they?
Yeah.
Generally, that's it. So, for me, why should they begin special privileges? Why should Spurs, if they were in the FA Cup, be able to play games at Wembley?
I hate it.
It's
The semi-final,
I hate it.
they would have to play at Wembley, and it's their home
Absolutely
ground.
hate it.
Yeah, it's all down to, like you say, Tom, the TV rights, the money, marketing. You know,
And who gets the biggest audience
Yeah,
abroad?
because
Exactly.
at the end of the day, if Liverpool, Man United aren't in the Premier League,
Yeah.
who's going to watch it
Exactly.
from around the world?
They won't.
Exactly.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
In China,
And remember,
what game do they wanna
is it
see?
9 billion comes in from foreign TV rights? And to be fair, number one, Man United.
Yeah.
Number two, Liverpool. They're the two biggest teams they want to watch.
Yeah.
Forget,
Biggest fan bases, aren't they?
but without a doubt, from historically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that shouldn't mean that everybody that gets into the Premier League is a big part player. And Steve Bruce quite openly said to me, the big teams get the big decisions, no question. And we've seen that time and time again. And I just think it's wrong. If this turns out to be right, that they kept away from each other first and last weeks of the season, I think that's absolutely scandalous. Scandalous. Not surprising, as you said.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, like I say,
one bit.
yeah, no, yeah, it's one of them that you hear it and it's not like, oh wow, can't
Yeah.
believe they're doing that. It's okay, but surely you'd want, especially towards the end of the season, you'd want a Man City, Man U game because potentially it could be a title decider,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you know, surely
yeah.
they should be, you know, pitted against each other late in the season, or
Why
if
not?
anything, yeah.
But that's what they've done it for. That's exactly what they've done.
'Cause
It
you
for.
look- 'cause you
It's
look
almost seeding, isn't it? We're seeding the
You
teams.
look at some of the teams down the bottom, their run-ins have been horrendous,
Yeah,
haven't they?
yeah, yeah.
They've been
Yeah.
playing all the top
boys.
teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And what chance have they got?
Yeah. But somebody challenging for a Champions League place doesn't have to face Man City.
Exactly.
And see if that now Man City go to where did Man City last game of the season?
Oh, it's Brighton.
Southampton.
Brighton
no,
tomorrow.
Southampton. No, last game of the season.
Yeah, Southampton, yeah.
Southampton.
Oh yeah, sorry,
right?
yeah, sorry.
Now that could be a nothing game.
Yeah.
Just for Man City. But I tell you what, Man City away at Liverpool wouldn't be a nothing game.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So that would be a really crack. But it's been apparently rigged, allegedly. Just before we finish, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
I mean, sad to hear
Yeah.
that he's been fighting for his life, and I know he's up and talking to his family today. But without doubt, arguably, probably not even arguably, the greatest
best.
manager we've ever
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
And,
no argument.
You know, everything he did as a manager, you know, as just people who've been part of the game.
Yeah.
You just loved everything he did with his players, the way he brought them through, the way he taught them the right things.
Yeah.
He showed them that to play for a football club was, you know, the be all and end all, and that should be the first thing on the minds. And you know,
That's what he was like with the kids. No coloured boots.
discipline.
Your shirt's enough. Man United's on it.
It's made me
That
made-
attitude.
sort of it makes you realise all the outpouring of messages he's had from former players and
From
ex-players,
everywhere. Yeah.
but they all call him boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's called them boss. Even like Ronaldo tweeted, didn't he? You know, get well soon, boss, and you know, so he demanded, or you know, he had that respect from all his players.
You don't demand respect. You earn it.
You earn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So he's got respect from everybody that's played for him.
Top
Even the
players.
people he let go. Ronaldo, he binned, you know.
Beckham, yeah, all of
Beckham.
them, yeah.
They have every amount. And for me, I was privileged to meet him a couple of times with Steve Bruce in Steve Bruce's office. And I was expecting a really down. He's a funny man.
Yeah, I know.
He is a funny man. He's got a great sense of humour and loves his horse racing and stuff. We can only wish him well, I think.
Yeah.
I think if that's,
100%,
you know, wish him well. I think, certainly Manchester United would not be the club. Today they are,
Without a doubt.
without what he did. And those kids he had round him. I mean, he used to follow. You remember Lee Sharp?
Yeah.
To follow him home. Make sure he went home. Used to have people following him.
To be fair, with Sharpie, you had to do that.
And if he had a little whisper, there's a party he'd be round there.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I love all that.
Oh,
I love all that.
You couldn't get past him with a trick. Steve
No.
Bruce told me. Steve Bruce, I'll finish on this story. Steve Bruce, he was playing at Man U, but he was at the end of his career. I think he'd been left out from the FA Cup final or something like that. And Wolves wanted him as player manager. So he went in, he said, look, Gaffer, Wolves want me as player manager. Sir Alex went, you come in my office. You come in telling me. He picked up a pen, threw it.
Is this the censored version?
No, threw the pen at Steve Bruce. Get out. Get out. I'll tell you when you're leaving. 2 weeks later, he let him go. Bitten him. He got rid of him to Birmingham City.
It was his decision, ultimately.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'll decide when you go, not you.
He's just wait another week.
Well, thanks, lads. Flown by. Thanks very much indeed. We're back. We're going to be starting in August in earnest.
After Tom's been on holiday.
Yeah.
No, every Monday at 7 o'clock live. That's what it'll be. We've got another couple we'll be doing before the end of this season to talk about, obviously, Villa in the playoffs. Yeah. And we've got the World Cup up and coming. So if you're selected, you'll be back.
We come as a pair, don't we?
Yeah, that's it.
Aye. Yeah, Ant and Deck. Thanks for being with us. I hope you've enjoyed the chat. We do want to interact with you all the time as well. And in the future, of course, we'll be having all the tweets on screen. We'll be having polls, all sorts of things, and you can interact with us as well. But we just wanted a little bit of a taster for you tonight to say we're back.
The banter bus is back.
The banter bus is back. Thanks very much for being with us. Take care. We'll see you soon.